Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Iris and I'm not so crafty. Actually, you know what? I don't even know why I named myself that because after this video, I'm a little crafty. So when I first found out that I had to do sewing, I was a little hesitant. Sewing, no! Because one, I'm not really that great at sewing. And two, I've been knowing what I wanted to sew for years now, and I was really nervous about doing it because I'm not really, I don't know, I'm a negative person and I think everything's gonna go bad. But thank God it didn't, and I love what it came out. Okay, so full disclaimer, I didn't really look up how to do this. I just kind of did it. The instructions were really in my head and I just figured it out as I went along. So the fact that my son has already grown up a little bit inspired me to do this because of his baby clothes. When he didn't use them anymore, when he didn't need them anymore, I store them away for one day. Maybe I can make a quilt out of my child's baby clothes. So this is this video, me making a quilt from my son's baby clothes. Okay, so let's start with the materials. Okay, so for this new one, we're gonna need some shirts, a blanket for underneath. We're gonna put it on top of this, some quilting bond, of course a sewing machine and some sewing stuff, and this one's a template of how big each piece is gonna be so it can be even, and of course scissors and rulers just so we can be even. I bought myself a sewing machine so I can make a dress, but I never finished it, so I just stored my sewing machine away until this video. So thankfully I had a sewing machine. Safe to say I did not finish that project because I don't finish any of my projects, so the idea seemed so simple. I felt confident enough to do it without having to look it up. I seem to say that a lot, I'm not sure why. Okay, so I have a template and I have my little shirts. These are the shirts that I'm going to use as baby clothes. So what I'm thinking is that I'm going to put the template so that all can be the same size, and then just cut out like the cute little designs of each shirt. Or either this way or this way. And then when I do, I have them all lined up. I can make a giant square, put this one on top, on the bottom, and then this one on the bottom. This one might give me some trouble. It's a little bit too loose, so I think it could give me some trouble to be able to connect it together, but I might have to change fabric because look how thin it is. I don't know if it's gonna work. So I had myself a little template. Really, I just got this from a pizza box so that I can make all the squares as evenly as I could. To be honest, I was a little sad to have to cut up all his clothes because they had a lot of memories attached to them, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to use his clothes. But it was really sad having to cut them all. I was kind of sad having to cut them. I'm not gonna lie. And you know what's cool about my quilt was that I added shirts that even had textures on them. Like one of them had a zipper and some of them have buttons. And it didn't matter. I added those in. I just sewed around it. Hope they stay. I want to give a huge shout out to this rotary cutter. Honestly, it made this job so much easier to be able to cut all my shirts really easily. Highly recommend. Get yourself a rotary. I even added one of my own shirts into the mix just so that the quilt can have a little part of me with a lot of him. So it's mainly his clothes, but it's one little hint of me. So I like it. It's very sentimental to me. So after I cut up all the pieces, I arranged them all into the order that I wanted them. Of course, the first time I did it was just a rough draft because I switched that up as I went along and it ended up completely different from what I had planned. So when I had it to sew them, I put them facing together and then sew the edges, and then just did a long row, and I just did a long row of 6 squares. And then when all my rows of 6 squares were completed, I connected all the rows to each other. I connected all the rows to each other to make a giant blanket. I actually did six squares in a row and then connected the rows. So I have 7 rows. 7 rows of 6 squares. I was really considering just leaving it as it was, just a giant blanket of all his shirts, but it really wouldn't be what I had imagined in my mind, so I needed to keep going. I needed to finish the whole thing. So the original blanket I had bought for it wasn't really a good idea because it was really loose, it was really stretchy, and I needed something a little bit more firm. So I got myself a cotton blanket. And I'm really glad that I made that decision because that one was a lot easier to work with. So make sure you put the blanket on the bottom facing down so you can put the foam and then the shirts. And I clipped them so that I'll be able to sew in between them so it can all get connected. Okay, so this is my first stitch and I just sewed right through, and I hope that they got connected to each other. So far the first stitch went pretty good, so let's just keep going, right? Okay, so after a couple of lines, I started getting very crooked with my sewing, so I decided to get a chalk and make a line throughout the whole blanket, so that I'd be able to follow the guideline because my lines were very crooked.
People that are gonna watch this are gonna be like, who's holding the camera? Because they can see both of your hands.
Okay, this clip here is funny because it looks like my sewing machine is steaming, but it's actually the chalk lifting as it goes through the machine. Okay, last one. Okay, so when I was done sewing everything up, I decided with my roller go all the way around to cut off the edges, any spare edges that was still in the way, to be able to put a real edge to the blanket. Okay, so thankfully I was smart enough to get enough fabric to be able to have extra to be able to do the edges. Otherwise I would have raw edges that would not look pretty. Luckily it came out evenly and I was able to evenly distribute it into a couple of strips. And honestly, thankfully it turned out perfectly. And here I'm just taking off the edge. Okay, so I needed an edge for these, right? So I was thinking if I do it like this, these edges are still gonna be fraying, right? So I can't do it like this and go around like this because then these edges are gonna be fraying. But if I do it like this, I feel like that's too much and there's still edges. So I'm sandwiching them like this so that I can put it in here like this, and then sew here, and then there's not gonna be no edges because it's in the inside.
I get it.
Okay, so this is the edge all ready to be sewn in. Everything's in there. I need another clip right here. But see, and we can just sew it all the way across. Okay, this is it. This is the very last row. After this, I'm completely done with it, and I can stop feeling like it's gonna fall apart, because it's not, because it's all put together and it's beautiful, and I did it. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, last row. So here it is. Here's my blanket. I love it. So I decided to get a cute little shark one for the back. I had a white one, but it wasn't the right kind of blanket because I needed it to be a little bit more firmer. The other one was too stretchy, so I decided to get this one instead, and I think it looks beautiful. The lines over here, these lines right here is where I had to sew them together. I wanted to do from one edge to the other edge, but it didn't really quite work out because they're a little crooked. See, like right here, it's a little crooked. Didn't really come out like I wanted it. And then the edges, I wasn't really sure what to do about the edges. Thankfully, I still had enough. Oh my God, I'm sweating. Thankfully, I still had some more fabric left over that I was able to do the edges. But when it's all said and done, I'm really happy that I had to do it because I've been wanting to do it for such a long time, and now that I have, I'm very happy with the results. If your baby is growing out of his clothes, save them and make a quilt out of them, because honestly, it's like the best sort of memory to capture your baby clothes. Because I see my blanket, and I remember all those times that I put him in those clothes, and now it has this beautiful sentimental value, and that I made with my very own hands, that I thought that I wasn't going to be able to do. But when I pushed myself to do it, honestly, because of making this video, I pushed myself to do it, and I'm very thankful for that. I found creativity where I thought I didn't have it anymore, and I'm glad that I do, and keep finding my creativity that I had thought was long gone, but thankfully it's still somewhere in there. I can't think of anything else to say. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you try it for yourself. Don't throw away those clothes. You can make a quilt out of them. Okay, so that's it for today. I actually have to change and get ready because I have to go to work. So let's wrap this up. Okay, so here we go. Come on, craft jar. You got me a good one last time. Give me a good one this time. I hope you guys like it. I hope you enjoy my video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Create this book. Oh my God. Oh my God. Let me show you. This is my Create This book from Mariah Elizabeth. Huge fan. Hi, Mariah. Yeah, right. Like, she's gonna watch this. So this is drawing. Next week is drawing. See you on the next one.